Let's talk land. Specifically those that want to look at land as a timber investment. My name is Danielle Atkins, Georgia Forester and land sales agent. And if you have been looking at investing in land and you want productive land, I'm going to be talking to you today. You may be wondering, what type of land should I get? What type of timber? What is that breakdown between hardwood and pine plantations? Perhaps should I be investing in? And as always, the answer is going to be it depends, all right? But I'm going to be giving you my personal kind of perspective and what I have personally kind of looked at as a timber investment, all right? So if you're on the coast, you have a lot of wetter grounds. You're gonna have a lot of wetlands. And so when I'm looking at land, I want at least a 50% upland, 50% that can be put into pines or is already established pines. And so I'm looking at least 50% of that landscape is going to be pines. Ideally, the more the better, but since I am on the coast, it is generally just kind of challenging to find large acreages of continuous pine, upland, natural pine type of areas, all right? Now, the further inland you get, that percentage is going to grow more of what I would expect. So say I would want at least 30% max type of hardwoods if I'm more inland, where I'm not dealing with a lot of floodplains, drainages, just coastal marsh type of areas. Now, why is this important? Because when you're looking, at all those different land websites and you're looking and they're advertising, pine production, pine areas, 50 acres of newly replanted type of land or 50 areas of natural pine, you may be thinking, oh, that is great, right? I have at least 50 acres of pine production, but you're looking at a 300-acre tract, all right? 50 over 300 is, let me do the math real quick. All right, that's 16%, 20% on the high end that is in that upland pine production type of traditional timber management. That means 80% is in hardwoods. And again, on the coast here is going to be probably bottomland type of hardwood areas. Now, I'm not saying you can't manage your bottomland hardwoods in as timber and kind of have those main objectives and goals. Cypress is very premium products as well as other hardwood materials is great, but it's a completely different animal. It's a completely different rotation and different management schemes, okay? Now, I'm not also saying that if you have a strong timber productive type of goal and objectives that you're never going to be visiting the property. You're not going to be using it for family recreation and hunting. That's not what I'm saying either. I'm just saying if you have that as your number one goal, that I want to maximize my ROI from the timber growth out there, I personally am usually looking at uplands. I'm looking at pines because that is your shortest rotation. That is how I can diversify the most and kind of manage it in small increments the most possible way compared to hardwoods, which takes a much longer time. And I personally am going to be looking at least 50 to 60% of that total land area to be in those areas that I could focus on my productivity. The other remainder, is where I'm going to be looking at my wildlife. I'm going to be looking at long-term type of timber management. But that's just the simple breakdown. So I thought I'd share that with you because I know a lot of folks are saying, oh, I will just manage this for timber. But then you're looking at tracts that have very small productive land that you could actually do a lot of that different types of management. So make sure you are working with a land sales agent who understands land, and even better, work with a forester who understands the timber types, the forest management, and that long-term perspective of the needs that you would need to do to manage to maximize your ROI. So if you have any questions, let's talk land, shoot me a message.